Welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be a tutorial on pattern number 28422 on bracelet book. I've already made a couple of this bracelet before. I have this blue one and this orange one, and I also have this one kind of like cotton candy colors. Today I'm going to make one that is the same as these, like a ombre pattern but with green. So first thing I'm going to do is pick up my colors. You can do ombre or whatever color combination you want. You're just going to need 5 colors. Alright, I think these are the colors that I'm going to use. So we have DMC 15, loops and threads 710, DMC 906, DMC 334, loops and threads 712. So we're just going to start with the darkest color. It actually doesn't matter what you start with, but pick one of them. You're going to put one side in your fingertips on one hand, and then you're going to pull it across your body to your other fingertips. So it's a wingspan length. Then we're going to cut it there. Now that that's already measured, for the rest of them, you can just line it up with the string you already cut. So we can just do this and pull it out to the same length as the other one. Alright, so I have all my strings cut now, so we can start by taking the 2 ends, and so we have 1 of each color, but in the pattern you need 2 of each color, so we just did one really long one, and we're going to fold it in half so that there's 2 of each. So you just put all the ends together, and then go to the other side, which should be a loop, and then we'll just take and make a knot. So I'm just going to wrap it around my fingers and then pull it back up through the center. So I usually leave rooms for ties, so you can do like braided or twisted or fishtail. I have a video on different ties, but I usually leave like about 4 fingers. So now that we have it all tied and all the strings cut, we can tape it down and get started with the pattern. Alright, so I'm going to look at my pattern and arrange them how I want them to be like lined up. An easy way to figure out how you want your strings to be is to do a variation. On bracelet book, you can go and click right here, add a variation. You can change these colors right here. So I'm just going to put mine in just so it's easier for the colors of the knots will be the colors that you need. Otherwise, if you know or what colors you're doing, you can just like line them up which ones you want. But I'm going to do this real quick. Alright, so this is kind of what my pattern's going to look like. I just put in different shades of green from like darkest to lightest, and then I have mine in an order from like darkest to lightest here. So this makes it like the ombre pattern, like what I did with this blue bracelet. So now that I have that lined up, I can see where my strings are going to be. For mine, I'm going to have the darkest at the edge, then I have the next darkest, then I have my lightest, and then you have the middle shade, and then the second lightest. And then it's going to be the same thing on the other side, but just opposite. And this is a little confusing, but once you do like your first row of knots, it'll all be in place, and you won't have to worry about this for the rest of the bracelet. I'm going to start and take these 2, put them off to the side, and focus on these first. So I'm going to do a backward knot with the darker one over the lighter one. So a backward knot, just a refresher, is a 4 this way. And then you're going to pull this string back up and through it, just like that. So we got that 1 knot done. Now we're going to leave that there, go to these 2 over here, and we're going to do 2 forward knots with the darker as your lead string. Forward knot is like the opposite, just across that way, up and through, and every knot is done twice. Then we're going to move on and do 1 more with the darker over this one that you just used. And you have that done. So that's just that first little triangle on the left side. Now we can move these out of the way, and we can get our 2 in the middle, which are the same color. We're going to do 3 forward knots. So the first is just over itself. The second is going to be over this light color. and the third is going to be over the darkest. Alright, now we're going to go over and take your lighter color, and we're going to do 4 forward knots. Again, starting on this string. Then these are all like in line, so you just go to the next one. The next should be the same color, so it's going to be light over light. Now we're going to go over to this side, and we're going to use the lighter of the 2 strings and do 1 forward knot. Alright, so that's kind of the first section. This bracelet has a confusing start, but after you get going, it gets very easy. You can kind of see the start here. So this string out, so it's the 3rd string in line from the right, and we're going to do 2 forward knots. First one's over the dark. Next one over the rightmost string. So that's all set up. Now we're going to go all the way back to the left and do 2 forward knots with this green. Now that we did that, we can do the last knot of this light one right here, which is a backward knot. Alright, then we're going to go back to the left side and do 2 forward knots. And back to the right side, we're going to find the dark color, which should be 3rd in from the right, and we're going to do 5 forward knots. Alright, now you should definitely be able to see the beginning of the bracelet. You can kind of compare it to these ones. So we're just going to keep going with the pattern, and as you'll notice, these 2 are the same color, these edge ones. So that's another thing you can look out for. So we're going to go to the left, do 2 forward knots. Then all the way to the right, you're going to find that same color and do another 2 forward knots. Then you're going to go in, find the 3rd one from the right, which is this, and do 5 backward knots. Alright, now we're going to do the same thing where we start on the left side, do 2 forward knots. Then go to the right, find that same color, another 2 forward knots. Then we're going to go 3 in and do 5 backward knots. Now we just keep repeating the same thing, doing 2 forward knots on the edges and then 5 backward knots in the middle. Alright, so now I think that I've done a full section of this pattern. This is basically the entire bracelet. You just keep repeating this same thing, which makes it pretty easy, just not even have to worry that much about different intricate patterns and whatever. It's basically just all simple knots just on the edges and then through the center. And then you just do that for as long as it takes. I'm probably gonna have to repeat it a couple times. This is about the length of the other one that I have made, about that long. But yeah, just whatever length that your wrist is. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Just keep repeating this and you got it. And if you finish and want to post on Instagram, you can tag me at Island Bracelets Co. Also follow me on Instagram and subscribe to this channel, and I hope it turns out good.